Hi, it's Zoe here, and can you believe it? The Career Equation podcast has just turned 1. Woohoo! Happy birthday to us. And a huge thank you from Erica and myself to you for listening, sharing, and for all your feedback. It really does help us to shape the show. And if you haven't already, please do leave us a review. It helps us reach more people and gives us ideas for what you'd like us to cover next. Now we've got a nice leisurely pace with a few more episodes before the year wraps up, and then we'll take a short break to refresh and refine things, ready to be back in the new year. So let's dive in to this week's episode.
You'll spend 80,000 hours at work. You're here because you want those hours to count. Hi, I'm Zoe Schofield.
And I'm Erica Sosner. A warm welcome to the Career Equation podcast. On this podcast, we take time out from our award-winning careers consultancy to share a game-changing formula to help you solve the sum of your life.
Each week, we and our guests use the career equation to explore their story so far and help them unlock the secrets of a fulfilling career.
What if your most talented people never want to be managers? In every organisation, there are technical experts, brilliant minds in healthcare, data, engineering, who are all incredible at what they do, but who don't always want to trade craft for headcount. And yet, these are often the very people who could be growing our next generations of talent. So how do we as HR and people leaders build career paths that honour expertise and enable leadership without making management the only route? In this episode, I'm catching up with Ben Hart, a colleague of mine back from my good old public sector days, and Ben knows this challenge firsthand. He's a strategic and commercial leader in the healthcare industry, supporting NHS trusts and independent hospital groups to transform and optimise services. He's also an experienced people leader, coach and mentor with over 25 years across commercial, government and healthcare sectors. Ben shares his own experiences and how, having stepped from a skilled team leader role into consultancy, he has found himself missing the wonders that mentoring, coaching and helping others to grow gave. Not the hierarchy, but the impact. We explore how organisations can empower their experts to lead through mentoring, coaching and community, not just reporting lines. Because not all leaders need a title, and not all growth looks like a promotion. So let's dive in and hear from Ben. So hi, Ben. It's absolutely fabulous to see you again after all these years. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Zoe. Thanks for having me along.
Thank you for joining me. We worked together in the past, so I'm really excited to see what's been happening for Ben, what you've been up to in your world of work, and what's sitting with you at the moment in terms of, what next, or what's the next challenge for me? But I think what would be really lovely is just to hear a little bit from you about what is the world of work for Ben like at the moment? What keeps you busy? What's it like? Just so our audience and myself have a kind of like an idea of what you're up to.
Absolutely. I think it's fair to say that I've had a varied career to date. And I think I find myself currently, I work as a transformation consultant in the healthcare sector. I work with partners, so that might be hospitals or ICBs across the healthcare industry, to understand what their challenges are in a hugely regulated industry and a sector of the world that impacts us all massively.
I was only talking to Erica, the co-host, the other day about the world of work and AI. Your sector must be really hard to keep up with the pace of change and the inventions around what AI can do, whilst also being in a really heavily regulated, and that must be quite challenging, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work outside of the NHS or independent healthcare providers. So I work at arm's length, but very much in partnership with. So there is red tape, there is bureaucracy. I come from an NHS background, working in trust, in hospitals, working collaboratively with other organisations. And it's really tricky to move things forward at pace and take advantage of all of the developments in cutting edge technology to benefit as many people as possible, while still remaining true to what the healthcare sector is, and making sure that we're providing the best possible care, and governance is absolutely paramount. So yeah, it takes a little time to adopt those developments with technology, certainly.
So when it comes to your world work right now, is there anything that you is kind of sitting with you that's a bit of a challenge or a conundrum or a next stretch that you think, I love what I do now, but this is the thing that I'm wondering? Like, what comes to mind for you?
I think the big thing for me at the moment is I'm at a period or stage in my career where I've had some really hugely rewarding and successful roles and projects, and I've worked with great teams. And in the last couple of years, I've moved more towards individual contribution. So I've moved away from people leadership and department leadership, which I've enjoyed. But at the same time, I feel like I've got to the stage in my career where maybe I'm missing some of those elements. So things that drive me to be the best that I can be and that bring out the best, most creative sides of what I can bring to a team or an organization or individuals is around the coaching, the mentoring, the developing of people. And that's something that I've been able to do through mentoring and ad hoc coaching for the last couple of years. But actually, it's something that I want to move back towards. So it's just, for me, understanding if that's the right thing for me to do now. Will it enable me to be my best at work and at home as well, which is hugely important. I think we have to make sure that that seesaw is balanced really nicely to be able to be authentic and show up in our best versions of ourselves in all of our lives.
You know, we often think as we move through our career that some things have happened by chance and by opportunity just springs up for us. And other things are like, actually, no, I feel like I've really designed and sort of orchestrated that next bit. And I think sometimes with age comes that wisdom around, actually, maybe I've got more power and control than I think I have around designing that next thing and exploring how I'm going to get that next thing. And it might not always be the most obvious route. And I suppose what we notice is, as we move away from something that we had before, we begin to notice, do I miss that thing then? Or am I glad that's over? And it sounds like there's an element of I am missing. There are some things that are perhaps missing. And it's, how do I explore? How do I bring that back in? And what's going to be right for me? And you're absolutely right. It's about the whole of you, isn't it? It's not just work Ben, it's home Ben as well. I know you're a busy dad and a husband. So it's like, how can I be my best self in both situations, at work and at home? And loading too much on myself can be a bad thing, can't it? And we'll come on to that definitely through the kind of equation chat. Okay, so that's sitting with us then in our minds as we explore a little bit around Ben's career equation. So what we like to do with our guest Ben is just dip into 4 kind of moments in time, if you like, 4 sorts of memories that come up for you around the core components of the career equation. So I'm hoping you're up for doing a bit of exploration and a bit of time travel back to some memories.
Absolutely. I think it's a good time to do it.
Just as a sort of recap, what the career equation essentially helps us to do is have a simple and practical way to explore what our thriving zone might look like in our world of work, or our sort of sweet spot, sometimes we call it. And those 4 key components are quite simple, but take a lot of exploration, and we want to get closer to that. So the first component is skills. So what we're really saying is we want to be applying ourselves in a way that we get to use the skills, the gifts, the talents, the sort of superpowers that we love to use. And we often want to develop even further, that we want in and part of our sort of everyday. We want to take those skills and apply them to a passion. So that's a subject, topic, industry, way of work that provides us with energy, curiosity, this desire to be involved in this stuff. So we've got skills and passions. Those are the first 2 components. The third component is impact. So we then want to see a difference by the work that we're doing. We want to think, yeah, I go home at night, I put the kids to bed and I think, yeah, I'm doing great. I'm enjoying, I'm seeing the results of my work and it matters to me. And then the fourth component is fundamental in being able for those things to be happening in a way that we feel at our best. So the environment is literally the environment we're in when we do our work. The people, the culture, the place, the location, the pace, the values, the coffee, the tech, all of those things go into making up. I like to think of them as the sort of nutrients of the soil that I'm planted in when I'm at work. And that has to be right and unique for me because I'm a unique plant and you are a unique plant, Ben. So we've got to think about those things. So, yeah, what we want to do is have the opportunity to explore some of your story so far with the sort of career equation goggles on to see what can we learn about that's going to help you make those decisions going forward. What are you forgetting about in terms of about you on the inside? So that's what we'll do if you're up for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's happy to give it a go.
Brilliant. When it comes to skills, we often kind of forget the sort of natural innate qualities and strengths and superpowers about us that have kind of been there for a long time sometimes, and we don't necessarily see them because they are a bit too obvious to us, if you like, they're too in our vision. So I'm curious to know, if I asked you to think about a time in your past, perhaps your earlier days, when you can reflect back now and think, gosh, actually, I was always really good at that. It was just something that came easily to me.
I'd probably focus on things like certain elements of communication, which I think come more naturally to me than to maybe some others that I've worked with before, and certainly other elements within the corporate world. For me, it's storytelling. Growing up, my mum would tell me I could sell ice to the Eskimos. That's the common phrase from the 90s. Building relationships, just making friends. I have colleagues who recently we've been out working in the north and in unfamiliar territories. Never having been there before, I was described as having zero social anxiety. I can walk into a room and just talk to people, build relationships, and that comes quite comfortably to me. It's something I work at, but it's something that I've been able to do to break down those barriers. And I think those things I'm more aware of it now than I had or was able to do when I was younger. When I was younger, it was showing up in places like on the sports arena, so on a football pitch, taking a team talk at a young age, cutting through any stressors or adverse events and being able to deliver a pitch, if you like, or just break it down. Here's the plan. This is what we're going to do. This is the strategy. And then if I follow that through from football pitches to volleyball courts as a player and as a coach, as I grew up, if you like, and then into places where I had a fantastic opportunity when I was younger to travel extensively in India and South America, mountaineering, taking groups to climbing mountains, climbing volcanoes, canoeing in the Amazon, and really out there environments to drop a group of young adults into. But it wasn't something that fazed me. I could take the situation, analyze it, adapt to it, break it down into okay, this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, and then take people on that journey, figuratively and literally, to say, this is where we are, this is what we're going to do, and this is what the result's going to be, and sell that vision to them.
Yeah. And I wonder if there is then, I'm just seeing this connection between being in a place where you're about to lead a load of people down the Amazon or up a mountain or whatever, that for a lot of people in that situation, there'll be an element of fear and trepidation and I'm stepping away from what I know here. And of course, when you take that to your corporate world, well, so it might be going down the Amazon, but their organization or, what they're trying to deliver to the public in terms of healthcare, there's fear, isn't there, sometimes in that, like changing what we've always done or finding new ways of working.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it resonates. Those experiences, if we break them down to a really small level, it's about moving people, taking people on a journey from where they are to where they want to get to.
When you think about those sort of natural skills, the storytelling, the vision telling, building relationships and feeling that ability to be unfazed by what's in front of you. And the sort of what I've written down here, like moving people with courage and sort of a belief. Are they still things that you think, when I look forward to whatever's next for me in my world of work?
Yeah, I think it's really important to me to help people. So I have a personal motto, if it's not too cheesy or not too Disney. In my head, what I set out to do with my career, whether it be from the early noughties up until I retire in however many years, I'm not going to give that away. Essentially, I set out to be nice, do good, and have fun. Those are the things that are really important to me because I think they encompass a lot of me and what I want to achieve and how I want to behave and show up within my career. I've done some sort of introspective analysis before and looked at what type of leader I want to be and how I manage and things like that. It's about creating an environment free from the fear of failure. For me, it's really important that people are comfortable because that's when that's when we're at our best selves. We show up, we're courageous, we're not scared to try something new because it might fail.
In that kind of motto, which I like. It's not too Disney. I don't mind a bit of Disney anyway. We need more creativity in Disney in the world. And so I'm curious to know, when you think about passions and that sort of energy and curiosity or drive for something, I'm thinking back over your sort of career so far. What comes to mind for you when you think, I absolutely loved what I was doing? I literally, it was fueling me and energizing. Tell me about that time.
I've been embedded with a hospital over the last 2 years. I've been working really closely with, I've got to say, one of the most passionate, high-performing teams I've ever had the privilege of working with. And I work in partnership with them. We don't report into each other. We work alongside each other for a shared goal and a collective aim of improving how a system works within a hospital. So I've learned a huge amount working with this team. Hopefully they've learned some bits and pieces from myself as well. And it's really that sort of collaborative nature that has motivated me and driven me and my colleagues who have been working on this particular project to perform and to show up every day and to push and keep moving things forward in a really challenging space. And this is around how we get patients from a large university teaching hospital. So it's a massive organization, one of the biggest in the country. How we get more patients treated, how we get more patients through operating theatres. So it's easy for me to show up if I can see what that good is. And if I can touch it and I can say, I know what I'm doing, that kind of resonates with me. And what we've been able to do over the last 18 months, we've worked on a number of projects, but the one that comes to mind when I think about something that ignites that passion is we've completely overhauled how patients are taken, the patient pathway, if you like, from when you see your GP and you go to hospital, you get referred into a service in a hospital, right the way through to when you've had your treatment. We've completely overhauled how that system works within this hospital. We've treated over 1,000 more patients in a year's period of time. So it's over 1,200 patients. So 100 patients a month more are being treated at that hospital than were previously. And that's incredible to me because it's actually a hospital that's relatively local. So it's within the region that I live in, that my friends and a lot of my friends and family live in. So that could be us one day. And we've, as a team at the hospital and myself and my colleagues, we've helped to develop something that will directly impact people that I know and care for.
Hey there. If you're feeling stuck, burnt out, or itching to try something new but don't know where to start, we've got you. At The Career Equation, we help mid-career professionals get clear on what they want, what they offer, and where they thrive. You can book a free discovery call with me or Erica to explore how our one-to-one coaching could help you get moving in the right direction. Just head to thecareerequation.com and click Book a Call. And if you're a leader, an HR partner, or a learning specialist looking to bring meaningful career conversations into your organisation, we'd love to chat. Whether it's grads, high potentials, returners, or your senior team, we'll show you how the Career Equation helps people to take ownership of their career growth. It's free, easy, and it might just change how you think about careers forever.
I think what's important for us to then understand when we are working in areas that get us fired up, healthcare, climate change, education, is that we have to find a way then to protect ourselves within it. Because it could be really easy for Ben to keep fueling this thing because you care so deeply about it. But actually, I always say to people, you can't pour from an empty cup. So whilst I love the fact that what's your story about what's been so brilliant for you in terms of this idea of passions is something where, you're talking about shared ambition, collaborative nature, this drive to improve and do good, something that's in touching distance for you that you can say, I was part of that and I cared. I'm curious to know, how does Ben look after Ben in that sense of something that's so huge to try and fix? Because it could be overwhelming.
It's a great question. I think so. I'm not trying to solve the whole problem. I'm not trying to fix everything all in one go. So what does today's win look like? What does this week's win look like? Let's measure that. Let's be really intent or purposeful on we're going to solve this problem today or this piece of the problem today. And let's celebrate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think, and that celebrating success is really important. And I remember when you research the kind of analysis of failure or challenge, and this might be particularly a British thing, but we're really good at analysing things when they've gone badly. We're very good at pulling stuff apart. But actually what we're not very good at is analysing things when they've gone really well. That sense of all of that stuff you've just described, is that still really important for you as you move forward, that ability to bring people on that journey? Is that still something you think, I don't want to lose that? Whatever I do next, I don't want to lose that ability.
Yes, without doubt. I think when I look at the next step for me, it's about collaborating with a team. There is a concept within the world of rugby, and I've never played rugby. I always consider myself too pretty to play rugby. It's not the case anymore. I could start now. Within the British and Irish Lions, very apt, they've just finished a tour of Australia. They talk very often about the privilege of playing for the British and Irish Lions. And they have, when they have their test shirt, their shirt with the number on the back, because the numbers never change, they always talk about leaving the shirt in a better place than when they got it. So that motivates them, inspires them to do as well as they possibly can. And I've taken that kind of concept, and in my head, I'm really passionate. If I work with a team, if I work with an individual from a mentoring perspective or a coaching or a leadership perspective, I'm really passionate about leaving the team or the project or the individual in a better place than when our relationship started, and helping them. And I do that, to me, it's about helping them to achieve what is important to them. That's massive motivation to me to do that. So that is right in the middle of what is important for me moving into my next role, moving into future roles, what the next 20 years looks like.
Yeah, the impact you can have on those around you and your team. I'm curious for us to kind of explore a moment in time in your life where you thought, oh my gosh, I'm making a real difference here. This is successful to me personally. I feel successful because of this. What comes to mind for you when you think, my work here is done?
One of those things that resonates with me is working last year with a hospital who deliver a very particular service for patients who have had strokes. And they had a vision, which a lot of hospitals and organisations nationally have, to move to a 24/7 model of care. So it's always open. They're always accepting patients to have this life-changing, life-altering, life-improving treatment through really, really cutting-edge technology. It's really incredible service that this team provide. But at the time they were providing it until 8 o'clock at night, and they didn't have the infrastructure and the building blocks in place to go 24/7. And it's something that people are experiencing all over the country. But what it means is that this treatment was only available for people within their region and their geographical area 12 hours a day. So there's 12 hours a day where if you had, unfortunately, had a stroke, you might not be able to get this life-saving, life-changing, life-altering, life-improving treatment. And one of the areas that I was working on with the trust was, how do we change that? How do we move to a 24/7 model? And we worked, and I've got to say again, the team that I had the privilege of working with, incredible people, incredible individuals, committed, wonderful human beings. They were determined to do that. So it was really easy for me to kind of come in and add some energy and use that kind of momentum to take people along and and pull the levers in the right places. And what we were able to do was very, very quickly deliver a proof of concept that this would work, this would develop, this would be something that meant the world to so many people. I'm incredibly proud to say that I played a part in developing that service. It's now 24/7. When we were originally going to record this podcast, which was last week before we had some technical issues, a member of my family, an hour after we gave up trying to connect to the Wi-Fi, a member of my family had a suspected stroke.
Oh my gosh.
And luckily, everything is absolutely fine. It wasn't, but there was a real possibility that when we were going to be having this conversation, a member of my family was going to be going to that hospital for that treatment. And it made me really grateful that we've done that work and that those people are there with the ability and the infrastructure and everything they need to be able to deliver that, that package of care. It refuels that pride and that feeling of impact.
And I think, the impact bit, it can feel like a small cog in a big wheel. But if you weren't there with that energy, enthusiasm, the ability to bring people together. So that's why the parts of the equation are so important, because they each matter. Using your gifts and talents and superpowers matter when you apply it to something you care deeply about. And that matters when you can then see a difference of the work you're doing. That's why it's simple, but it makes absolute sense. And then the fourth bit, which is the really, really important piece as well, is this idea of the environment in which we're doing all this stuff in. And so I kind of, for this piece, want to switch up a little bit. Are you ready for this, Ben? I'm going to take you to a non-Disney place.
We can go there together as long as we come out the other end.
What I want to kind of explore is like a time when you thought, I can't be at my best here. I can't be the Ben I'm meant to be. It might be that you were exhausted, you were drained, you were bored. I don't know. But what I want you to do is take me to a place where you thought, this is just not helping me to be the best version of Ben. What comes to mind for you?
I had a period of time when I left university where I kind of fell into managing leisure facilities, if you like, pubs and bars and restaurants and nightclubs. A huge amount of fun working with some of the funniest people in the world. Having a party for a career was great fun at the time. So then as I changed, and I won't say matured, but as I grew and my circumstances outside of work changed, then that environment didn't necessarily fit that environment, or that environment didn't necessarily fit me in terms of getting for me to be my full self. So, but whilst I was there, I was fortunate enough to get married, then didn't have a day off with my brand new shiny wife for 3 months, which, because work was so busy and I was all in, it was very draining. And over the next few months, time off was very scarce between us because I was working when she wasn't working, and late nights, early mornings, and passing shifts. So what that meant is that I felt like I was missing out on something, which meant I started to almost resent the long hours and the weekends and the evenings and all the things that I loved about the job previously then became something that were keeping me from something else that I loved. And I made the decision that to be able to be at my best, both inside and outside of work, that a change was needed. So I went to a more structured work-life balance, and I moved to the local government, which was not without its own challenges. And we talk about environments where, again, had a great career within local government, achieved great things, met some lovely people, but then there were some other challenges within that environment, which is highly regulated, very structured, lots of red tape. You can't necessarily change the things that need changing, and you're not necessarily empowered to do everything you want to do. So it can be frustrating. So I think, those would be two examples that followed within my career very quickly after one another.
And I think what's really stands out for me there is you changed. And one of the things we talk often about is this idea of defining success and what matters to you changes over time. Ben in his 20s wanted something very different from his working life than Ben does now. The same as I can look back and think, okay, I was all up for working long hours and moving up the ladder and all of that stuff then, but that doesn't matter to me now.
It's worth noting that it's absolutely fine to change and to develop as a person and along your career journey. It's not a bad thing that if you want something different. It's about recognizing why and what, and then planning for how you can make that change. Because we're not robots. We're human beings, and I think it's good to celebrate that fact, and that what makes us uniquely us. It will change over time as we change, as our relationships change, as our circumstances change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. We've kind of dived into the 4 sort of memories and moments, and we've got some really nice juicy stuff there. And I'm curious that if we now try to put it together and form a kind of sweet spot statement for you. So we call it career design statement, but it's a way of you tapping in a very messy draft version today, but you'll be able to go away and think more about this. Are you up for that?
I'm absolutely up for that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. The idea of this design statement, as I said, is sort of like a North Star then, is a sort of a reminder to you as this is who I am when I'm at my best right now. So when I look at these new opportunities that might come up in the organization as I move forward or wherever, that I can think, is it going to align with what I've set out is my sweet spot? And what way does it do that? Where might it be really strong? Where might I need to do some work? I'm going to ask you a question and you're going to fill in the blank. The first one is super easy because it's just your name. And I think you can remember that.
I'll check my notes, yeah.
So
Ben Hart.
Will use my skills in ... If I asked you to pick 2 or 3 top specific skills that you think they've got to be part of my everyday, what comes to mind?
I think top of the list is collaboration. No, actually, scratch that. Top of the list is having fun.
Having fun, yep.
Collaborating.
Yep.
And then coaching and building relationships. Yeah, I think coaching and building relationships to me goes, hand in hand in terms of what's important.
Okay. And my passion for ... What sort of 2 or 3 things really are the things that you think they drive me, they energize me, what really matter to me? What would they be?
I go back to my personal motto, doing good, helping people.
Mm-hmm. 2. So that's the impact bit. What's the difference that Ben wants to make?
It's making things better, whether that be for an individual, for a organisation, for myself.
Yep, to make things better. Okay, brilliant. And in an environment that is what works best for you?
I think for me, that's chief amongst those is, okay, I'll go with fun again. So I've got 3 Fs for this one. There's a lot of Fs in this one, actually, I realised. Free from the fear of failure. I think that's really important to me because it allows people to relax, be authentic, be themselves. And then the final F is full of committed people, focused on delivering or focused on achieving.
So I'll read back what we've got. Then the invitation is always, whenever I'm coaching somebody, this is never like the final draft. It's like, we've got some stuff from our conversation. Go and do a bit of that, come back, let's work on that. Because what you want is your design statement to be obviously Ben, and that it couldn't just be someone else's that we've just picked up. It needs to be unique to you, which is why I always push people beyond words like communication. What does that mean in Ben's world? So what I've written down, and it's a bit of a mess, and I hope I can read my writing here today. I, Ben, will use my skills in having fun, collaborating, coaching and building relationships, and my passion for doing good and helping people to make things better for everyone and to help people be the best versions of themselves they can be. An environment that is fun, free from fear of failure, and full of committed people works best for me. How does that land with you?
I couldn't have said it better myself. I like it.
Good first draft.
It's a good job. There's never a final draft. Everything is always evolving.
And I think, my invitation for you is, and I'm just now reflecting back over some of the things that we've talked about, is to think about each of those components in that statement and like, have I got that right? Like, what is the Ben that brings that to that skills bit? Because you've talked about vision selling. You just mentioned then about, I don't necessarily think the same as other people, but as long as we're aligned on the same goal. So there's something there about challenge in a constructive way. So there's definitely some stuff to think about, but I think it's a great starting point. And what you have threaded in there are the things that you talked a lot about in terms of that, having fun, the collaboration, the sort of coaching of people, and of yourself almost as well. So I think that's brilliant. If I said to you, out of 10, how closely do you feel that you are aligned in your world of work with that statement right now?
I'm incredibly fortunate to work where I do with the people I do. I'd say that gives me, I think, confidence to say I'm probably at a 9. I think the thing that's missing is the leadership of others, the direct leadership. I'm fortunate enough to bring a lot of kind of leading without authority and informal leadership. But yeah, the direct leadership is the one. That's the 10% that's missing at the moment.
Excellent. Jolly good. And if you were sat with young Ben now, maybe on the side of a volleyball court or kicking a football around, what words of wisdom would you give him about his future world of work?
That's a good question. I would focus on a couple of areas that would help speed up realization, speed up decision making. And I've never talked about myself in the third person, but as young Ben grew, I would probably focus on that it's a good thing to think differently to others. You don't have to try so hard to fit in and look like, speak like everybody else, because you'll end up watering down your superpowers. You'll end up diluting what makes you you and the skills and the strengths that you bring that others don't have. I think I would be very clear that always to include yourself when you're trying to please people. So I would reflect on my early career and say that I was a textbook people pleaser. I wanted everybody to be my best friend. And it's taken me years to realize that isn't necessarily a good thing. And again, don't leave yourself out of that process if you're trying to make people happy. And then maybe most importantly, I would say you don't have to be the best at everything. You don't have to win at everything to be happy.
Really, really wise words. And final question really is, if people are like curious to connect with you, what's the best way that they can share networks, get in contact and connect?
So just reach out on LinkedIn. We can put the details in the description, but drop me a message, connect on LinkedIn to chat all things transformation, healthcare, continuous improvement, or just have a chat and collaborate.
Look, it's been brilliant. I don't know how many years it's been since we worked together, but it's been really enjoyable to reconnect and chat and catch up. Keep me posted on what happens next, and feel free to share your design statement once you've got it nailed to something you think feels right.
Absolute pleasure, Zoe. It's been really, really valuable. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Career Equation podcast.
Stay connected with us on socials for more career insights, behind-the-scenes moments, and updates on upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to work with us, visit the Career Equation website or click the links in the show notes.
Remember, the Career Equation isn't just a podcast. It's a journey towards unlocking your full potential, enjoying your life, and doing remarkable stuff. And don't forget to share your thoughts and feedback with us. Your input shapes the future of our show.
Until next time, keep solving those career equations and pursuing your path to success. This is Erica Sosna
And Zoe Schofield. Signing off.